So this is the data corruptor by Earthquaker Devices, and this is actually a friend's. I'm borrowing this, and it's a really cool pedal. It basically creates an order of sub-octaves, sub-harmonics, by different intervals, and then you can switch from unison to oscillator with this root switch. There's a glide or vibrato switch with a speed, so it has a little built-in LFO, and it basically has a built-in oscillator, square wave, subharmonic, and then the overall oscillator blend, and the output gain obviously, and you enable switch, and then you can choose the root here or unison, so -1, -2 are unison. So basically the idea is you can play a high synth note or guitar note into it and then play these knobs and generate a bass line with the oscillator that's in the pedal, which is what I was just doing. So I figured I'd do a little bit more of that and then record it into Ableton. I'm just going mono in, and then I have a bunch of reverbs just to start off with. Right here is just some shimmer going through some reverb EQ post, and then it's in a dry chain turned down compared to the dry, so it's blended in. And that's after this first vintage verb, which is at 14%, so a bit of a reverb just to make it sound nice because it's coming in mono. I may also just put a Haas effect, and then the utility with the bass mono. And usually you don't lose a ton of sub when you do it like that. You can see I'm already boosting the lows and the highs because modular tends to be pretty flat, and so it sounds good, I find, honestly, a lot of the time, to just give it a boost. You could similarly just cut the mids out of it and then turn it up with a gain after. So, you know, we got a bit of noise coming through here right now. So let me make sure everything's working. So I'm getting my audio, and then I may have to mute my mic to record this. So right now I'm going to mute my mic, and then I'm going to set this up to record. I think there might have been some noise there at the end when I had to turn the pedal down. I'm just going to do something real quick, and I figured I'd stop and just say what I'm about to do on the modular. I'm just going to, right now I'm using this step sequencer to get that melody, and I'm now going to add it together with a random voltage after kind of attenuating the random voltage. So I have my random voltage right here coming from the woggle bug. It's like a sample and hold module into this attenuator, and then this random voltage is going to a mult, and from there I've got this mult of this attenuated random that I can go into this adder. It's the Warna by Chaos, and I'll add that along with this other pitch sequence here. And the next step is to set up, we want to set up a quick quantizer. So I have the gate here going to a mult, and I'll take one of these longer cords and take the gate of that sequencer into trigger input of the ornamenting crime, which I'm going to use as a quantizer. So now I have a quantizer, and I can take the mixing, I'm sorry, it's not adding, it's mixing, the random, attenuated random, and the sequencer. So now those are both mixed and then going into the quantizer. So we have a repetitive pattern, and we also have a random source, and we're kind of blending between the two into a quantizer. And then I'll take the quantizer out, go quantizer out into this buffered multiple. And the reason why it's buffered is for being more accurate for volt per octave. It needs a little power behind the scenes. Different kind of circuit than the passive mult that's down here for the random. So now we should have a sequence again. Let me see. Alright, so I think that's about enough of that for now. So that was just a lot of messing around, really. It's going to be hard for me to go into detail, because when I'm doing it, mostly just intuitive. I guess one of the things I was doing was switching between more sustained sections and more punctuated sections by using the ADSR. Ended up putting it through this Belgrade filter as well, and just experimenting, not caring about music theory or whether anything's in a certain key, because the next part of this process is where that is gonna kind of flourish out of just randomness. I really like to use human randomness and just let things be crazy and then find these little moments. And I really like doing it with looping, so I'll just show you one way to do some cool looping with this. So this is so random that it's going to be hard to find phrasing maybe, unless I start to get some looping going on, and the sampler has a great loop, so I could just put a note, I'm gonna go C3. Alright, so that's something, just randomly found that. So now let's take this other sample. And maybe for this one we do a slice mode and just see what kind of slices come up. So do slice, and then we can use this little thing to move around the sample, and it'll just detect transients for us. Isn't that nice? Let's try a different part of the sample. I'm going to put it on gate and actually go by region. And then crank the regions all the way up. And then just hone in on a section that way. Maybe this end part. I'm just going to loop this. So I kind of like this little thing more. I feel like that's a nice setup with the slicing. So maybe I'll zoom into this with the Z, Control E to split it, and then just mess with this one. And then for this bass, I'm gonna have a separate sub. So I'll get out a phase plant and make a quick sub. I'm just gonna go to user sub, analog mode sub. How is it that we don't have fine control of the tuning in slice mode? Gosh, what do I do now? Might have to detune the sub. Alright, so I have a drum kit I made the other day called the Dr. Rhythm, and I made it out of this thing. Sampled the drums out of it through the modular and beefed them up a little bit, and then did some Ableton stuff. So I'll load that up. So I'm gonna have to route some side chaining, so maybe just the kick to the side chain and the snare to side chain and the clap to the side chain. I'll do both snares at first, but I might not have all these doing side chain because it'd probably be too much. So yeah, it's just kicks, and they sound so weird and like drum machine because they're from that little old Boss drum machine. They sound all overdriven and messed up. Alright, so that's a little something. I think I might just flesh out some transitional moments throughout this stuff. Maybe try Haas effect on this. This isn't fitting with the 808 line. So let's try something else here. Let's try melody. Let's actually just try that MIDI. here's a little nugget. If you want to sidechain something inside a drum rack, you can actually group the chains. I'll call this the meat chain. And then, when I go to my hi-hat, which I want to sidechain to my kick and snare with the same compressor, I can go into here and look for meat. Post effects. Doesn't look like it's getting right. So sometimes I find with the Haas effect, if you just kind of rein it in a little bit in the lows and the highs. I do this a lot. Now watch how it kind of narrows the stereo field a little bit, but also makes it feel a little bit more like it's in a room. So I'll solo this. So now listen to without the stereo, or without the EQ. So that's Haas effect. No Haas effect. Haas effect. And then mid-side EQ with a bandpass. Without the bandpass. With the bandpass. Without the Haas effect. Dynamic by controlling the gain with an LFO instead of the envelope built in. I'm also going to give it a short pitch envelope. I feel like we need a counter to this triplet feel, like steady quarter note. So I'm just gonna go for a chant. And then maybe a sound that just fills up the between two snares. So I'm gonna go like granular, some sort of granular effect, Sephiroth's granular effect. Maybe actually like a reverse laser. I made this sample pack a while ago. Slinky? Where I sampled a Slinky to try to get some of those Star Wars kind of lightsaber-y effects, but I'm not finding it. Maybe it's not on here. Well, I have some subsequent lasers, I think. Jesus. That's not a laser, but I'm gonna pull that in. Big Moog filtery square. Alright, let's see. Maybe a little drums. Or, yeah, something like that. Something strange. That'll work. Alright, so to bring this a little bit more into focus here, I'm going to make this reverb a plate, smooth plate, very small, and let more highs through and less lows.